wanted to do. The Cardinals wanted to run at Romanowski. And here's Romanowski on the outside making that hit that forces her to just lose that ball and cough it up. Romanowski, we talked about it before. We said, hey, this guy's not a point of attack linebacker. He's a run around, chase you down linebacker. That time, he turned himself into a point of attack guy.
Philadelphia gets it back, down by 10. First Arizona turnover. Here's Ricky Waters. Charged up, but he got only 2. As we talked about, a Philadelphia win would put them in the playoffs for sure and would put more heat on Dallas. And remember, Dallas in first place, a game ahead of Philadelphia. Their game is coming up next right here on Fox. Second half of our doubleheader as they take on the Giants.
And it'll be interesting to see whether or not the Cowboys can lift themselves out of the malaise, because they've lost not only last week to the Eagles, but the week before to the Redskins.
Second down and 8. End zone wide open. Touchdown Johnson. Beaten on the play.
But we said, you know that Ray Rhodes is going to whip these guys into shape in the locker room at halftime. And it doesn't get any better than that when you talk about reversing the momentum and the energy of a team. When you come out and your defense gets a turnover, Romanowski turns himself into a big hit guy, and then your offense takes advantage of it by scoring. And that play, as much as anything, as much as the catch and the throw, was the protection on the offensive line and the time they gave Rodney Peete.
Reggie Johnson, his second touchdown of the year. Gary Anderson puts the extra point through. Terry Irving beaten on the play. The throw to Reggie Johnson, good for 21.
There's Johnson right up the seam, and Irvin just takes his eyes off of the tight end. When you take your eyes off him, he's going to come down with the ball.
21-yard completion, 7 points on the board. Philadelphia down by 3. Johnson with a diving catch, a 21-yard reception for a touchdown, his second of the year from Rodney Peete, and all of a sudden it's a 3-point game. Gary Anderson kicks it back to the Cardinals, and LaShawn Johnson on the run from the 10. Looking for another big return. He's across the 30, but down around the 33-yard line.
What happens on this touchdown play is the Cardinals are in cover 2, and Johnson runs right down the seam. And when he does that, Terry Irving has got to stay with him and cover him, because whenever you're in cover 2, where there's 2 deep safeties, the linebacker's got to run down the seam. Johnson makes a dive and catch, and he's so excited, he just about takes this guy out. Look at that. Whoa. You think it's dangerous playing. You think it's dangerous being a cameraman. It's dangerous just standing around the sideline of an NFL game.
We've already seen one cameraman get smoked, and now, well, that guy, pretty good reaction time.
He did. He had some good some good reflexes there.
Simon Shanks, who is the #1 tackler, special teams for Arizona, down. After that return by LaShawn Johnson, he needs help getting off the field. But the turnover led to the touchdown and leads to a 3-point Arizona lead. They get it back, and momentum now totally on the side of Philadelphia. Play action. Wide open is Sanders. Out of bounds inside Philadelphia territory as Greg Jackson is beaten on the completion to Frank Sanders.
Well, one thing that the Cardinals have done is they've been able to run the ball. And when you can run the ball, that's what sets up your play action, because now you fake the run and you draw the safeties up, and it opens it up for a guy like Frank Sanders, who you can see from this is one of the top rookies of the season. You look at the other guys, Collins and Salam and Wheatley, all having good seasons, but none of them better offensively in the NFC than Frank Sanders.
Good for 19, and on first down, the toss to Garrison Hurst. Got to the sideline, got a couple, forced out of bounds by Greg Jackson. Frank Sanders, a guy who the Arizona Cardinals found in the second round. And Buddy Ryan believes he is going to be better than any of the receivers taken ahead of him eventually. Talking about J.J. Stokes, talking about Michael Westbrook and others. He thinks Frank Sanders might be the best.
And I think that's very well, that's possible because of Frank Sanders' attitude and his toughness. This guy's a receiver, but he's a Buddy Ryan guy. He's a Buddy Ryan guy because he's tough and he plays a physical brand of football.
2nd down and 8. From the 45, another play action. Again, it's Sanders wide open inside the 30. Out of bounds near the 25, and Jackson and Taylor beaten again.
Once again, it's a little bit of that play action that draws the safeties and the linebackers up and gives Dave Craig the time that he needs, because that's a slow developing pattern. Sanders has got to run up the field and then all the way across the field. And for Dave Craig to be able to make that throw, he's got to have a lot of extra time.
Sanders 4 catches, 48 yards. That one was good for 20. And a first down at the Philadelphia 24. So all that momentum Philadelphia gained with the turnover and then the touchdown is about gone. Sanders incomplete. This time working on Mark McMillan, and Frank couldn't get to that throw.
One of the things about Sanders and McMillan is, we talked about McMillan earlier, the little guy. We talked about Sanders' toughness. You know that those guys are going to have some bruises on their bodies after this game because they both play a physical game and they're out there. And McMillan is constantly trying to make up for that lack of size with tenacity and just some fire behind him.
2nd down and 10. Craig 5 out of his last 6 in the air. 5 out of his last 7 and nearly intercepted by Govea. Now 3rd and 10. A Tampa-Chicago update on a McDonald's game break. Back to Hollywood and James Brown.
And Chicago trying to hold on to his playoff hopes. Eric Kramer, play action, finds the touchdown arm at the end. This time it's Jeff Graham for the score, and the Bears lead at 21-10. That in the 3rd. Take you back.
Thank you, James Brown. Green Bay clinched a playoff berth with their win yesterday. It is very conceivable, however, that Detroit could end up winning that division. Detroit winning big at last check against Jacksonville. 3rd down and 10. To the sideline, Sanders again. To the 10-yard line, wide open. The defender fell down. That was Bobby Taylor.
One of the complaints that Ray Rhodes has had with this young rookie cornerback is that he doesn't play with a sense of urgency. We've talked about urgency. We've talked about how Ray Rhodes has gotten this whole team to play with a sense like every play may be the left. Every play may be a big play. And if you watch Bobby Taylor up here on the top covering Frank Sanders, he slips down and then he doesn't get himself back up. Not soon enough to stop the play.
14-yard completion. 1st and goal from the 10. Craig has plenty of time into the end zone, incomplete, and great coverage by Romanowski.
That really was a nice play by Bill Romanowski, because he not only was step for step with the receiver, he's playing it like a defensive back. He's reading the receiver. He's reading Larry Sanders. There he is. He runs with him. And when Sanders turns his head and his hands go up, Romanowski turns his head and goes for the ball.
On defense, 5 yards, half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
Well, they threw the flag, although none of us up here in the booth even saw the flag. But it is an illegal use of hands, and it's against Philadelphia. And I'll tell you, I still have not seen the flag on the field or picked up. You would have to believe it was on Romanowski giving the little shove on Larry Sanders. Nonetheless, 1st and goal from the 5 now. And the toss to Garrison Hurst. Jackson. What a good play by Greg Jackson behind the line of scrimmage.
That really was. That was nice concentration by Jackson, because everything's on the line. I mean, this is it. You're down near the goal line. Here's Jackson here. Watch him with the pursuit. And then I said nice concentration, because he gets those hands on Garrison Hurst. He gets a hold, and then look at it. Look at his eyes. He follows his hands. He clamps down and hangs on.
A loss of 2. Now 2nd and goal from the 7. Greg Jackson, unrestricted free agent, brought here last season. In his 7th year from LSU. 2nd and goal from the 7. Craig buying time. Incomplete for Rob Moore. Rob Moore wants the flag, and he's not going to get it. Good coverage again by Mark McMillan.
When you've got that kind of matchup, as Dave Craig has here, with Moore on McMillan, Moore 6'3", McMillan again 5'7", you want to throw that ball to a high point. You don't want to beat McMillan by throwing the ball out. And there he is. He was hanging on him, and Moore should have gotten a flag for that. That, no doubt, is interference. But Dave Craig, I think, when he's throwing at McMillan, he wants to throw the ball on the mark to the receiver, but throw it up high.
3rd down and goal from the 7. Arizona leading by 3. Craig falls down. Penalty flag on the play as Craig is down back outside the 10. Penalty flag on the play. And it may be delay a game.
Delay a game offense. 5 yards. Repeat 3rd down.
That is not a break for Philadelphia. They stop Arizona, but the play never happened, blown dead because of the delay game. Now 3rd and goal from the 12. And again, like last week, the Philadelphia defense is asked to stop the offense again, as they did with Dallas. Penalty flags again. Caught, but whistles blow, and the side judge signaling that the play was dead. And good for Philadelphia this time, as Stevie Anderson came down with it.
False start, 71 offense, 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
So another 5 yards, this time on the false start, and Buddy Ryan's Arizona offense is moving backward.
And that's a shame for Stevie Anderson and Dave Craig, because that was really a nice job of concentration by Stevie Anderson. That ball got batted around, and he was the guy who came down with it.
It was 1st and goal from the 5. It's now 3rd and goal from the 17. That was the 6th Arizona penalty of the day. Craig looking for help, fires incomplete. Broken up by Bobby Taylor. This time, Bobby Taylor goes right through Rob Moore.
And this time, Bobby Taylor doesn't slip. He's not down. He's on top of it, and he makes a nice play by using that tall, angular body to get up over the top of Rob Moore, who's a tall, lanky guy himself. And whenever the quarterback has this much time, it puts a lot of pressure on those cornerbacks, and it doesn't get any prettier than that coverage right there.
35-yard try by Davis. He is 4 for 4, and that's now a new Cardinal record, single-season record. 28 field goals this year by Greg Davis. Arizona leading by 6. 3rd quarter in Philadelphia. Our Budweiser game summary, and Tim, only 1 Arizona turnover, but it led to 3 Philadelphia, or I should say 7 Philadelphia points.
Yeah, it did. But if you look at what the Philadelphia Eagles defense has done with these turnovers, they've had 5 red zone situations. They've only allowed 1 of those red zone situations to turn into a touchdown.
As I mentioned, Greg Davis now with the single-season Cardinal record, 28 field goals, breaking a record set in '67 by Jim Pocket. This is Witherspoon. Derek Witherspoon again, close to the 40, brought down at the 39. And a 30-yard return by Witherspoon, who already has an 86-yard return for a touchdown. Well, they're 2 of the longest running comedies on television. And tonight you can catch brand new holiday episodes of The Simpsons and Married with Children. It all happens tonight, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, right here on Fox. That's tonight. Right now we have a 6-point game. Arizona out in front with 8.5 left to play in the 3rd quarter. From their own 39, Ricky Waters, Michael Bankston.
Bankston just blows through there again, and it reminds you of what happened with Bernard Wilson earlier in this quarter. Bankston again coming from the right side of the